Fatima and Carrot Top. Prophet Muhammad was once asked, "O Messenger of Allah, is it possible to be rewarded for treating animals kindly?" "Allah Almighty will surely reward you for being kind to all animals," he replied. Fatima loved squirrels. She liked all small furry animals, but squirrels were her favorite. She borrowed books about squirrels from the library and hung a big poster of a squirrel in her room. She had cartoons about fabulous talking squirrels that were almost like people. Sometimes Fatima's mom even called her my squirrel. Last year, 2 squirrels took up residence in the oak tree that grew in the backyard. Fatima named them Aganayak and Rythik. They made a nest out of leaves and twigs high up in the tree. Fatima often watched them scurry up and down. As they climbed up, they jumped from branch to branch. When they came down, they would stand on their hind legs and twitch their tails. When Fatima approached them, they would run away. "Mom, why won't they let me get close to them?" Fatima asked. "They are wild animals," said her mother. "They are afraid of people." "I won't hurt them," said Fatima. "They may not be afraid of me." "They don't know that," said Mama. "And even if they did, they are still wild. They are not like cats or dogs." Fatima thought about it. That seemed to be the case. Dogs and cats liked people. Dogs served people. Cats lived in houses. Even horses and cows liked people. "What about the lion tamers?" Fatima asked. "Lions are wild animals, but tamers teach them to do tricks. Dolphins are wild too, and I've seen them jump through hoops and ride swimmers in the dolphinarium." "That's right," Mom said, "even though they are wild animals. They've been taught tricks, but they don't live with humans. They still remain wild." Aha, thought Fatima, so a wild animal can be tamed a little. But Ogonyok and Carrot Top are not lions or tigers, they are just squirrels. Why shouldn't they make friends with people? They were so similar to squirrels from books and cartoons, so cute and resourceful. Fatima wanted to take them in her arms and press her cheek against their fur. But the squirrels did not understand any of this and ran away. When Fatima tried to approach them, they ran up to the oak tree. And then they would shriek from there with angry, thin voices. In the backyard there was a bird feeder on a long pole. The pole was so smooth that squirrels couldn't climb up it and steal the food. But the squirrels were very resourceful. They managed to get to the feeder. First they climbed down to the lower branch of the oak tree, then climbed over it to its thin end. The branch began to bend downward. When it looked like the squirrel was about to fall, it would jump to the feeder. Fatima loved to watch them. She thought they were very clever. One day when Fatima was watching the squirrels, she thought of one thing: she would make friends with them by feeding them. That's also what the dolphin trainers did. Every time the dolphins performed a number, the trainer would give them a fish. Fatima would give the squirrels food and get along with them. Then they would get used to her. Fatima was sure they would love her as much as she loved them. At first the squirrels did not approach Fatima. She started putting nuts under the tree and stayed on the porch. When the squirrels got used to this, she started putting nuts halfway between the tree and the porch. Every few days she took the nuts closer and closer to the porch. After 2 weeks, the squirrels were already jumping on the top step. Fatima sat there with the nuts on her outstretched palm. She did not move. However, the squirrels did not take the nuts from her hand. "You spend a lot of time on squirrels," Dad said one day. "Yes," said Fatima, "I want to make friends with them, and it is not easy." "Try again," he said. "Soon they will start taking nuts from your hands." "I think so too," Fatima sighed. "Sometimes I think I'll never touch them, though." "I wouldn't count on it," Dad said. "They may eat out of your hand, but I don't think they'll let you touch them." But Fatima believed in success. Just need more time. One day Carrot came very close to Fatima's hand and stood on his hind legs. He froze, and Fatima froze too. Suddenly, Redhead quickly lowered his head down and grabbed a nut from her hand with his front paws. Fatima rejoiced. The squirrel had come to her. It even ate from her hand. After another week, both squirrels were taking nuts from Fatima's hand and staying close to her, putting them in their cheeks. Fatima would talk to them as they took the nuts. She would slowly raise her other hand to pet them, but they always ran away. They took the food when she didn't move. And if her hand moved, they ran away. They don't trust me yet, she thought. She sulked a little at the squirrels. It had been a whole month now that she'd been feeding them. They should have learned by now that I won't hurt them, she thought. They're ungrateful. You silly squirrels, she said, how can you not realize that I love you? Day by day Fatima was getting closer and closer to the squirrels. Her hand almost touched them. They froze. She moved her hand closer and the squirrels ran away. One day, when Carrot Top came for the nuts, he took them from Fatima's hand and hid them behind his cheeks. Fatima's other hand ended up behind him. She brought it up slowly and touched the squirrel's back. Fatima smiled, but Carrot was not pleased. He turned around and bit Fatima's finger. Fatima screamed and jumped up. Carrot was hanging on her finger. Mommy. She shook her hand and Carrot flopped to the ground. He jumped up and jumped into a tree. Mommy, Fatima shouted. She looked at her finger. It was bleeding and it hurt. Carrot Top had bitten her. Mom ran out onto the porch. Carrot Top bit me, Fatima complained through her tears. Hold on, Mom said. Drops of blood from her finger fell to the floor. Said stood frightened in the doorway. Saeed, Mom said, get a paper towel. Saeed rushed into the kitchen. Ahmad. Mom called out. Ahmad was already here. Ahmad, get the first aid kit. Ahmad disappeared into the house. Saeed brought a paper towel. Mom wrapped the paper towel around Fatima's finger. It's okay, sweetheart, she said, it's okay. Fatima was crying. When Ahmad returned, Mom told him to bring a cup of water. She moistened a cotton ball with water and washed the wound. It's okay, honey, it's okay, Mom repeated. It wasn't a big wound. But the finger hurt a lot. Mom bandaged it and called the doctor. The doctor examined Fatima's finger and asked about the squirrels for a long time. He wanted to know if they were sore. If they were sick, Fatima could have gotten sick after the bite. Well, that's not bad at all, said the doctor. The wound is not deep and you don't need stitches. How did the squirrel bite you? I wanted to fondle our Ginger, said Fatima, beginning to sob again. The doctor raised his eyebrows in bewilderment and looked at her mother. Red is a squirrel that lives in a tree near our house. She wanted to tame it. Carrot Top squirrel. The doctor bandaged Fatima's finger. There you go. I hope you won't do that again, he said. And in a few days your finger will be as good as new, he turned to Fatima's mom. If it hurts, you can give her some painkillers. And these pills should be given to her twice a day, he handed Saeed a bag of pills. You are good, Fatima, he said. Just don't pet the squirrels anymore. When the doctor left, Mama and Fatima sat down in the sun. Fatima's finger was still sore, even after the pills. She wanted to cry, so Mama stroked her hair. A noise came from the oak tree. Carrot and Ogonyok ran around the tree and came running up to the bench. I hate squirrels, Fatima said. They are greedy and mean. And she began to sob. You're wrong, sweetie, said Mommy. No, I'm not, Fatima said. Squirrels are not human, said Mommy. They know neither greed nor meanness. They are wild. If you scare them, they run away or bite you. But I've been taking care of them for so long, Fatima said. I love them so much, and they don't care. They are not like humans. It is their nature. That's the way Allah made them. They don't behave according to the rules, Fatima said. Mom thought. Do you remember the horse outside Uncle Rashid's house? Of course, Fatima said. I rode it twice this summer. Which is bigger, the horse or the lion? The horse, said Fatima. Are you afraid of the lion? Yes. Are you afraid of a horse? I was afraid of her, said Fatima. She remembered the day her uncle had put her on a horse, even without a saddle. But she was so wonderful. She drove me around and let me pet her. Do you remember how you used to give her sugar from your hand? Yes, Fatima said. She even smiled remembering it. The horse's nostrils and lips were so soft. She jabbed them into her palm as she took the sugar. Remember how you stroked it? You wouldn't do that with a lion, would you? No, Fatima said. It would be nice to pet a lion, she thought. But the lion wouldn't give it to her. And the horse is bigger than the lion, continued her mother. I know, Fatima said. But lions are fierce. Yes, said mother. That is their nature. That's the way Allah made them. Every creature has its own nature. You cannot expect a lion to behave like a horse. Allah made them different. But squirrels are not fierce, Fatima said, but looked at her bandaged finger and realized she was not so sure. They are not ferocious, but they are wild too. You shouldn't think you can pet them like a cat or a horse. I don't, Fatima said and smiled. She remembered the soft nostrils of a horse again. Horses were wonderful. Shouldn't she start collecting books about horses?